Hello, welcome to Board Games with Neramas. I'm Joseph and I'm here today with Martin.
Hello.
And Draco, of course. And we're going to talk a bit about Essen Spiel. It's been a month now since we were there, and we thought it would be fun to do a sort of after Essen vlog, because we did one before Essen where we talked about our expectations and we had some top fives on what we were expecting, and you had some top fives tips as well for the viewers. And I thought that was really fun, but I think it could be fun to just go back now and do like a top 5 memories, basically. What are we going to remember from this year's Essen? What are we going to, when we look back in a year or so, we're going to have these memories pop out for us. And overall, what did you think of this year's Essen?
It was really good. I actually thought it was smaller than last year. I don't know why, but I just thought it was smaller.
The feeling?
Yeah, the feeling was smaller.
And you were there also on Saturday and Sunday. I went home on Saturday morning.
Yeah. Saturdays it was really crowded. Like, you couldn't even move. It took me almost 45 minutes to walk through all the halls.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. And you just kept yourself to one hall on Saturday just because it was too many people.
Yeah, I'm thinking for next year I'm planning to be there on Saturday and Sunday as well, but I'll probably do like a half day on Saturday. I like go home like after lunch, or like to the hotel and relax, because I don't think I will. I was really exhausted on Friday afternoon when there was a lot of people, and you had to walk like slowly and wait for people. The most annoying thing down there, I think, was that it's the same in Sweden or everywhere. Like, people standing in the middle of the walkway, and they're like eating candy and talking to each other, and
and they have no sense of like, we want to move from A to B. Just move.
I think as Swedes especially, I think we are very conscious when we're like outside Sweden. We're conscious on like how we act. Because like if I went around with my bag and with Draco, and if I'm gonna stop somewhere to like drink some water, I always went to the side. To some so I didn't stand in the way of people, but a lot of people don't care about that
at all.
So, and I think it was really weird. I mean, as a Swede, I'm not judging anyone if you're watching, but I think for us it was really weird that people brought small children to the fair. And those crowds, and you have like a 2-year-old walking around.
I saw even people who brought their newborns, but I suppose it actually says a lot about the people there as well, because it means that nothing is going to be standing in way for their main hobby.
And maybe they couldn't find a babysitter and so on, but that was just something I reacted to, and it was like, that's weird. It's like small children walking around in the crowds.
But they actually had quite large children's section, especially in the Galleria.
So, they had that.
So I mean, you could actually see the option of parents leaving their 5 or 6-year-old there and just like, hey, I'm coming back in a half an hour, and just don't go anywhere.
Well, it was amazing. I think it was so much fun meeting all the people down there, and it was really fun. I mean, just the atmosphere, just going around, it was like Christmas for
a gamer. Yeah. Especially since you hadn't been there before.
Exactly. That was my first time, and just the feeling of like everywhere you turn there's games and like posters for games and people talking about games. And
I mean, I knew kind of what to expect, so I knew exactly where to go and when to go there. But it's always like the best. The first time is usually the best for everything.
Of course. All right, should we do our top 5s?
Yeah, sounds good.
Do you want to start, or should I start? Or?
You can start.
Okay. So basically, there's no like ranking in these. It's just 5 things that I think I will remember for a long time and will bring with me from this experience, basically. So the first thing that I want to mention is just meeting some of my sort of role models, basically, or like famous people that it was really weird to meet, like Tom Vassell and Rodney Smith especially, and Actual LOL, and just meeting these guys in real life. And I mean, Pini Schechter, was really nice to meet him. Had so much contact with him during the last year. Just so weird to so all of a sudden they're there in person. It just felt, not real somehow.
I know that feeling.
And I got a bit starstruck, especially when I talked to Tom Vassell. I was I don't know what I said. I was just so nervous. I never get nervous meeting people, but and he was so big. He was so tall, and it was, that was amazing. And of course Draco's happy that he got a kiss from Tom as well. So so that was so much fun. And then the second thing I want to mention is meeting Swedes, which is some weird thing when I mean it's always like that. If you meet Swedes outside of Sweden, all of a sudden you have something in common, so you start talking to each other. I mean, if we meet Swedes in Sweden, we never talk to each other. We sit on opposite sides on the bus, and yeah, we're really shy people in that regard. But when we meet outside of Sweden, we're on vacation in Spain or wherever, then everybody starts talking to each other. And especially there at Essen, that everybody has the same interest as well. So just a cool feeling to just... And I met some Swedes that I know or I've met earlier and so on. And it was just so nice to just meet them and, you know, people hugging. And it really get this community feeling down there. And I met some new contacts as well. So that was awesome. And then my third thing is a bit special. It's not something you would get normally as a visitor, but for me that's something I'm going to remember. And it's that because I had my press ID, so the moment when I was in the crowds, I was really exhausted. Just my mind was all over the place, and I just could go 5 minutes away and sit down in a press room, and it was all quiet, comfortable chairs, and there were like people offering something to drink, and you just like breathing and just relaxing. It's not that often during a year that I experience that total exhaustment mentally.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be exhausted because you had a rough day at work or whatever.
Yeah.
But this was something out of the ordinary. So that press room, that was my favorite place on the whole messe. Then I want to mention the travel down there. We were 4 guys in a car. And this was, I'm going to remember this both for the good and bad sort of, because it was a really long journey, like 13 hours and, you know, driving on Autobahn. And so it's just like straightforward. There's nothing to see outside the window.
It's Germany.
And I mean, it's so boring in that regard. But we had fun in the car. We played Carcassonne and Lords of Waterdeep on the iPad. So that was really fun. We were just passing it around. And the guy was driving, got really jealous. He wanted to be in the game as well. So we had to tell him what happened in the game. And like, who's in the lead and all that. Had really fun in the car. And yeah, I don't want to do it again. I'm not going to... next time or in the future, I'm going to go by airplane.
Yeah.
But it was fun to have done it. So, and then finally I did some interviews, and especially I want to mention on Thursday morning I met Martin in the crowds. We didn't even set the point where we met, right? I just spotted him. Just so weird at the morning there, and we went straight to White Wizard Games booth and did over an hour. We were sitting there and talking to Rob Doherty, who made Star Realms and Hero Realms and Epic Card Game. And it was just that was so cool. He really took time to talk to us and do the interview, and we were chatting between the interviews and all that, and it was so relaxed as well. It wasn't that stressful feeling that you get a lot of times. I mean, of course they were really stressed out, all the designers and publishers, but yeah, that was just so amazing. So thank you, Rob, if you're watching. And that was also an unreal feeling that Thursday morning, and I'm walking around there, and suddenly, all of a sudden, Martin is there.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew he was there, but it was still so weird that we were in the same place there in all the crowds.
Yeah, at the same time, yeah.
So yeah, that was amazing. I love this experience, and I really look forward to going there next year, and I'm going to do all 5 days then. So we'll see if you're gonna go. You don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, so let's hear your top 5.
Well, I didn't really like. It's really hard to tell which one is number 1, which one is number 3.
I didn't rank mine either.
So this is just kind of like a general list for me as well. But I would really say, like, you know, the moment you step through the gates, and like, you know, everyone's just like running through or walking through, and like and there were like hordes of people, everyone standing in the same line. That's the atmosphere of like Essen itself.
Yeah.
It's something like you really, if you haven't been there, you can't really say. It's like kind of like describing a movie to someone who's never seen it.
Yeah.
That's something really special. It's kind of like, you can even say that Essen has its own smell, its own feeling. Like it's really special. This year, when I was there last year, I really wanted to get a game mat, like one of these, like kind of the mouse pad material, and I couldn't get one because they're all sold out. So I made it my number 1 list to really get one, and I got one for a fairly good price. So that was really good for me as well. I wanted to get one for a while, and it really helps when you're when you're playing games in general. Meeting all the people, meeting all the designers, and actually meeting people in the setting that where actually they can take the time to actually talk to you. Kind of like the experience you had with both with Rob and with Tom, that they're friendly with you. They're there for you. And that's really nice. You can take selfies with them. You can take photos. They can sign your games. Even talking to the small game designers, which made kind of like my mission. They actually have a lot more time. And they can sign your copies, and like I think we did Railway Ink. They managed to draw like the illustrator managed to draw Draco inside the game book, which is kind of like funny. And you cannot really expect that from the beginning. Sometimes these things just happen.
Yeah. And that's a good moment for me as well when you showed it to me, because
you were very happy.
I was so happy on like it was Friday evening there, and thanks to Marta as well for drawing those nice drawings.
And there's one like when I filmed the game called 2GM Tactics. This time I actually managed to meet the designer of the game, and I managed to ask him some questions that I felt like wasn't in the rulebook. And he gave me like 2 expansions for free as well.
Okay.
So that was really fun for me to talk to the guys, because I really like that game. It's one of my favorite games, and I really like filming it. So check out the video if you haven't seen it.
Click the link up there. And put it
and they actually said that I asked them like what are the plans for the next couple of games, and not just this company, talking to other companies as well that I really wanted to talk to. Was actually really fun. And last on my list is something I didn't really expect. I walked around, I think it was Hall 4 or Hall 5. I think it was Hall 4, and I saw an older gentleman sitting there in a suit and a kind of like these large hats that you wore in the 19th century, and I thought like, what guy is doing that? It must be terribly hot. And I looked at the game he was demoing. It was about the Roman Empire, which is one of my favorite themes in many games. So I sat down with the guy, and I spent actually an hour just sitting there talking to the guy. And it turned out we were in the same. He wasn't from a part of England where I was when I grew up, and the game was called Romans something. Romans it was called Romans, and it was. He demoed the game, and he actually managed to finish the game because it was a game that took place over the whole day. You started in the morning. And then you went throughout the game playing what other people had played before you.
Oh, okay.
So I managed to say like, okay, I'm gonna do this because someone had did this at 8 o'clock in the morning and someone had did this at 12 o'clock in the day. And it's one of their mechanics called a quantum game because it takes place over different kind of times.
Okay.
But in the real world, when you're playing, it takes around 3 to 4 hours to play. I backed their game on Kickstarter, and it was really fun. And they even gave me a free copy of one of their other games. So that was it was a highlight, because usually you don't get that personal with a game designer who's there to kind of like
sit down
and they were really friendly, and that was a really nice moment for me.
Yeah, well, it sounds nice. I mean, I think you like the highlights. Like for me, it was like being the first time all. It was really cool. I can imagine that in a few years when when you've been there a few times, you get sort of more comfortable.
Yeah.
And you can sort of maybe reserve some energy more.
And also this year I hardly spent any time in halls 1 and 2. I focused on the smaller halls because I wanted to have the immersive experience of talking to the smaller designers. Yeah. And I realized that it's also going to be more of a crowd control for me, because I didn't want to spend just like so many hours just getting from one place to another, especially on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, and I also want to mention, like before we end this, I'm going to mention a few things that I just typed down for myself, tips for myself for Essen, but I want to share them with you guys as well. If you're going there next year, so keep this in mind. One thing I realized that would have been awesome is to have some earplugs. I can have this, especially like you can have like musicians or somehow you can have like the hanging here, and you just put them in, and they just take away some of the frequencies. You can still talk to people, but they take away like the high tones.
Yeah.
So you don't have to listen to all the crowds all the time. That's something I'm gonna have next year. And Also another recommendation is to bring your own bags in some form.
Yeah.
I didn't think about this, but I mean, there's a lot of different bags, but like IKEA bags, you can have a really big plastic bag, but you can put it together and have it.
It's a good point.
Yeah, and so that you don't need to carry games like this, because that's really exhausting as well.
It is.
So that's a good tip as well, and also, since I'm flying next year, I'm going to bring an empty suitcase.
Yeah.
Basically a big empty suitcase, just fill it with games. Because this year I was, lucky to. It was nice having the car, so we could load in the car. But it's going to be a bit. I'm thinking next year that I'm not sure, but it might turn out that I travel alone as well. And that's also something different, because then I have to sort of plan on how to. I have to get the games from the booths to the shipping place, basically, like you're doing.
Yeah. And it's another good tip if you're there in kind of like on Sunday, the shipping booth is going to be packed.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to ship on Friday and Saturday, because everyone wants to ship on Sunday.
Yeah, you can ship ahead, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that was a few tips and so on, and the memories from Essen Spiel 2018, and this is also how we sort of end this Essen coverage. There's been interviews and demos and vlogs and live streams and all that. And of course, we're going to continue playing the games from Essen Spiel. So there's a lot of unboxings coming and playthroughs and run-throughs and all that stuff. You can check out all that stuff on the channel as well. So thank you to Martin for joining me.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the Essen stuff, basically. So
it was really fun.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening or morning. Whenever you're watching this, take care. Bye-bye.
Board Games with Niramas is sponsored by Alara Games in Sweden.